My dad smashed my laptop just before my final thesis, called me a leech, and said I didn't deserve a life. Please stay with me as I tell you my story. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for your support means a lot to us. Now back to my story. I never had the kind of childhood people write happy stories about. In my house, love was rationed, measured out in crumbs, if it was given at all. My father was a man of rules, rage and sharp words. My mother, too tired, too silent to shield me. So I grew up teaching myself not to expect kindness, not to expect help. If I wanted something, I had to earn it. School became my escape. Books were my companions, the only voices that didn't tell me I was worthless. Every A I earned wasn't just a grade, it was proof. Proof that I could be more than the failure my father called me. I clawed my way into university. While my classmates leaned on their parents, I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. While they partied, I studied until my eyes burned. My scholarship paid for part of my tuition. My side hustles paid for the rest. My professors praised me. My classmates admired me. But at home, none of that mattered. To my father, I was still a burden. A leech, someone who didn't deserve the life I was fighting so hard to build. And yet I kept going, for 4 long years. I kept going, every sleepless night. Every insult swallowed. Every tear cried into my pillow brought me closer to this moment. The final thesis. My proof, my redemption. The one thing no one could take from me. Or so I thought. Because on the night before my submission, my father walked into my room and smashed not just my laptop, but everything I had fought to become. The night before my submission, I should have been nervous but excited. My thesis was finally complete, 4 years of work. Every ounce of my sweat, sacrifice, and sleepless nights. The cursor blinked on the screen as I read through my final draft, heart pounding with relief. Then I heard his footsteps, heavy, sharp, angry. The door swung open without a knock. My father's face was a storm. His eyes darted to my laptop, glowing on the desk. "What are you doing?" he barked. Finalizing my thesis, I whispered, already sensing the danger in his tone. His lips curled into something between a sneer and a snarl. "Thesis, you think this is life? You think tapping on that toy makes you less of a leech?" Before I could answer, before I could even close the lid, his hand shot forward. He ripped the laptop from my desk. "No," my scream cracked in my throat. And then, with one violent motion, he smashed it against the floor. The sound of shattering plastic and glass echoed like a gunshot. I felt it in my chest. I dropped to my knees, clutching at the broken pieces, tears spilling before I could stop them. My whole future lay in ruins at my feet. "You don't deserve a life," he spat. His voice was cold, final, merciless. He turned and left, his footsteps retreating as if nothing had happened. The silence that followed was deafening. I stared at the wreckage of my laptop. My thesis, my proof of survival, gone. And for the first time in years, I felt something darker than despair rising inside me. Not weakness, rage. When the door slammed behind him, it felt like the world collapsed with it. I sat on the floor, surrounded by jagged pieces of plastic and glass. The twisted corpse of my laptop, mocking me from the ground. The quiet that followed was worse than his shouting, worse than the crash. It was the silence of finality. My body refused to move. My hands hovered over the shards, trembling, bleeding from where I had tried to grab them. My tears fell onto the broken keyboard, darkening the letters that had once carried my future. The screen was gone, the files, the thesis, 4 years of my life gone in a single violent moment. I tried to breathe, but my chest wouldn't rise. My ears rang with his voice. "You don't deserve a life." It replayed like a curse, sinking deeper with each echo. He hadn't just destroyed a laptop. He had destroyed me. Minutes blurred into hours. I don't know how long I sat there, numb, staring at the wreckage. My phone buzzed twice. I didn't move. Hunger gnawed at me. I didn't move. The world outside my room continued spinning. But inside, time had stopped. For the first time in years, I doubted everything. Maybe he was right. Maybe I really didn't deserve this life I had fought so hard for. But then my eyes caught a glimmer, a small, black square peeking out from the wreckage. The hard drive, hope faint but alive, flickered inside me. And just like that, the silence broke. I lunged for the little black square, my fingers trembling as I pulled it free from the wreckage. The hard drive, my last chance. Clutching it like a lifeline, I whispered a prayer I wasn't sure I believed in. If this worked, if even part of my thesis could be saved, maybe I wasn't completely destroyed. But reality set in as I stared at the jagged edges of the drive, smeared with dust and shards. I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't even know if it still worked. Still, I tried. I plugged it into an old adapter I dug out of my drawer. The lights flickered. My laptop's shattered remains reflected in my tears. And the screen stayed dark. Nothing. No, 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 my voice cracked. I tore through drawers, boxes, anything that might hold a backup, old flash drives, stray CDs, even handwritten notes from early drafts. Every scrap of paper, every half-finished file felt like grasping at smoke. The deadline loomed in my head like a ticking clock. My classmates would wake up tomorrow, polished PDFs ready to submit. And me, I was clawing at broken plastic on the floor, praying for a miracle. For the first time, I considered giving up. Maybe my father was right. Maybe I didn't deserve this life. But then my phone buzzed again. A friend's message, "How's the thesis coming? Need help?" I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. Maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as alone as he wanted me to believe. And with that, the desperation inside me shifted. I wasn't finished yet. I kept replaying the moment in my head. The way his face twisted before he smashed my laptop. The way he called me a leech. The words cut deeper than the act itself. But the more I thought about it, the less it made sense. Why now? Why the night before my thesis submission? Why the venom, as though my success was poison to him? The answer came in whispers. Relatives called. Their voices hushed, almost guilty. Bits of conversation leaked through walls when he thought I was asleep. And slowly, the pieces clicked into place. My father wasn't just angry, he was drowning. Debts, loans, failed ventures. A man who spent years pretending he had everything under control was now rotting under the weight of his own failures. And me, my thesis, my future, my independence, was a reminder of what he couldn't be. He didn't smash my laptop out of hatred for me. He did it out of desperation, out of envy. If I succeeded, it would shine a light on how far he had fallen. My stomach twisted as I realized the truth. He hadn't destroyed my work by accident or in a burst of rage. He had planned it, waited until the night before, waited until he could hurt me the most. And in his eyes, it wasn't just a laptop he smashed. It was me. But he was wrong. He thought he had silenced me, broken me, buried me under his debts and bitterness. What he didn't know was that sometimes destruction can spark rebirth. And if he wanted me to fail, he would live long enough to see me rise higher than he ever imagined. I was still staring at the wreckage when my phone buzzed again. Another message from the same friend, who had been checking on me all week. "How's the thesis coming? Need help?" My fingers hovered over the keyboard. For a moment, pride held me back. Pride and shame. How do you tell someone your own father smashed your future into pieces? How do you admit you're standing at ground zero while everyone else is soaring? But then I thought of the deadline. Hours ticking away like bombs. And suddenly, pride didn't matter anymore. I lost everything. I typed, my hands shaking. "The laptop, it's gone. My thesis, it's gone." The reply came fast. "Send me whatever scraps you have. Drafts, notes, emails will rebuild." Hope surged through me like oxygen after drowning. I scrambled through drawers, emails, USB sticks, even old printed notes I had stuffed away months ago. Piece by piece, I dug out fragments of the thesis I thought was dead. My friend called me on video. Their face filled the screen. Determined, "Don't give up, we'll do this together." I pressed my palms to my forehead, tears streaming silently. For the first time since the smash, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't completely alone. But in the pit of my stomach, I knew one thing. My father wasn't finished. If he had already tried to destroy my work once, what would he do when he realized I was rising from the wreckage? Because men like him don't stop until they've broken you completely. The hours bled into each other, the ticking clock like a drumbeat against my skull. My friend and I worked side by side, them on their laptop, me with scraps of notes, half-finished drafts, and fragments pulled from old emails. Every time a missing section appeared, it felt like a lungful of air. Every time we hit a gap, research I hadn't backed up, analysis I'd lost forever, it felt like drowning all over again. Coffee cups piled up on the table. My fingers shook as I typed, exhaustion fogging my brain. But I didn't dare stop. The deadline loomed. Every second mattered. But the fear wasn't just about time. It was about him, my father. I kept glancing at the door, half expecting it to burst open, for him to snatch the papers from my hands, to crush whatever scraps of hope I had left. At one point, I thought I heard his footsteps in the hall. My heart slammed against my ribs. I locked the door, my hands trembling. My friend's voice came through the call. "Ignore him. Keep going, don't let him win." I bit down hard on my lip until I tasted blood. They were right, if he wanted me broken. Then finishing this thesis would be the sharpest blade of defiance I could wield. The night deepened, my eyes blurred. My head dropped once twice, but I forced myself up again. The document took shape, scarred but alive. My future clawed its way back, onto the screen one paragraph at a time. And by the time the sun began to rise, I wasn't just fighting for a degree anymore. I was fighting for proof that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't kill me. The sun had just started bleeding through the curtains when the document finally looked whole again. Not perfect, scarred, patched, missing pieces, but alive. My thesis was breathing again. I leaned back, rubbing my eyes, fingers still trembling on the keyboard, and then I heard it. The footsteps, heavy, familiar. My father's shadow filled the doorway before I could close the laptop. He didn't knock, he didn't ask. He just stood there, arms crossed, eyes filled with that same cold contempt. "You're still at it," he said flatly, as if disgusted that I hadn't given up. I swallowed hard, keeping my voice steady. "Yes." His lips curled. "You think this makes you strong? You think finishing some paper means you deserve a life?" The words hit me like blows, but this time I didn't shrink. I turned to face him, every ounce of exhaustion burning into something harder, sharper. "Watch me," I whispered. For the first time, he hesitated. His eyes narrowed, like he wasn't sure who was standing in front of him anymore. The weak child he thought he could break, or someone forged in the fire of his cruelty. We held that stare for a long, suffocating moment, then he scoffed, turned and walked away, muttering under his breath. The door slammed, rattling the frame, but I didn't flinch. Instead, I locked the door, placed my shaking hands back on the keyboard, and kept typing. His words were poison, but finishing was the antidote. And as the submission clock ticked closer, one thought burned in my chest. If he wanted me broken, then my success would be the sharpest blade I could drive back into his shadow. The screen blurred as I scrolled through the last few pages, exhaustion weighing heavy on my shoulders. My body screamed for rest, but the clock screamed louder. Minutes, that's all I had left before the portal closed. I hovered over the submit button, my finger trembling. 4 years of sacrifice, nights without sleep, insults endured, tears swallowed. It had all come down to this moment. And then, bang! The door rattled. My father's voice thundered from the hallway. "You still trying, pathetic." His fists pounded once, twice, shaking the walls. I froze, my heart hammering. If he broken again, if he touched this laptop. I pressed the lock harder into place with one hand and clicked submit with the other. The screen flashed, uploading, processing. My breath caught. Complete. I sat there, staring at the confirmation, tears spilling hot and fast, not from weakness, from defiance. He had tried to destroy me. He had called me a leech, told me I didn't deserve a life. But despite everything, the smashed laptop, the poison words, the endless sabotage, I had made it. The pounding stopped. Silence swallowed the hallway. Maybe he realized he had lost. Maybe he was too tired to keep fighting. I leaned back, clutching the desk with shaking hands. My body was wrecked, my heart bruised, but my spirit had survived. And for the first time, I didn't feel like a victim in his house. I felt like a survivor. The days crawled by after submission. Every hour felt like a trial. My body was still drained, my nerves raw. But something inside me had shifted. When the results finally came, I almost couldn't bring myself to open the email. My hands shook as I clicked, my breath trapped in my throat. "Congratulations, thesis approved, degree awarded." The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. I had done it, against every obstacle, against every cruel word, against the man who tried to bury me alive. I had made it. But the victory was more than academic. It was personal. My father's voice still echoed, "You don't deserve a life." He was wrong. I did deserve one. I had built it, fought for it, clawed it back when he smashed it to pieces. When I passed him in the hallway that evening, he didn't look at me. He couldn't. His silence wasn't power anymore. It was defeat. And I realized something then. His rage, his cruelty, his sabotage, none of it was really about me. It was about him, his failures, his envy, his fear that I would become what he could never be. I walked past him without a word, my head high. For the first time, I wasn't weighed down by his shadow. He had smashed my laptop, but not my spirit. He had tried to erase my future, but I had written it anyway. And as I stepped into the world, with my thesis behind me and my future ahead, I understood something simple, something powerful. Scars don't prove weakness, they prove survival. And survival was something I had mastered. Thank you for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories.